Good day, everybody. My name is Gideon Hefer, and it's a privilege for me to discuss the topic. Something will be the responsibility of the crop advisors, specifically relating to crop advisors, and then concluding with a summary. The role of the crop protection industry is to ensure safe, sustainable food production and also sustainable farming practices in South Africa. However, to fulfill this, there are significant challenges that need to be overcome. First of all, climatological aspects need to be taken into account. Ever-rising input costs are posing huge challenges. Pressure from markets, both locally and international, regarding MLLs, standards, etc., are ever-changing. There are pests and challenges that need to be taken into account. And then also resistance management. And lastly, perceptions from consumers and retailers. And we can expand on this list. It can be very long and very comprehensive. The responsibility and the accountability of the different role players in the food value chain need to be clearly understood. And we as a distribution channel, especially the crop advisor, need to understand our responsibility as the advice and the inputs that are being given at farm level are key in overcoming some of these challenges listed above. A crop advisor is seen by the industry and by the farmers as an expert when it comes to aspects associated with crop protection. To understand what an expert means, we need to look at the definition of an expert. And that is defined as a person who is very knowledgeable about or skillful in a particular area. And with crop advisors, it's to do with crop protection products and the application of it. We can ask a few critical questions regarding the above comments to think about as part of our introduction. Can you really be an expert without the necessary experience, knowledge, and training or qualification? Will you classify yourself as an expert? What do you think about the current status of our industry? How do you think people outside the industry look at our industry? Do you understand the responsibility associated when acting as a real expert? And do you really understand the impact or potential impact of your actions on humans and the environment? If we look at systems thinking, I want to tell you a short story based on true facts that happened in the 1950s in Borneo. There was an outbreak of malaria in Borneo. The people of Borneo contacted the World Health Organization for assistance. And the WHO sprayed large amounts of DDT to kill the mosquitoes, which seemed like the obvious thing to do back then. However, there were some side effects that they did not take into account. The first one was roofs of houses collapsed, and the question was posed, why? Then they discovered that the DDT killed wasps that controlled thatch-eating caterpillars. In turn, geckos ate the dead wasps, and the DDT remained in their system and accumulated. Something else happened, and that was that cats ate the geckos and died due to low resistance to the DDT. The result was the population of rats multiplied in Borneo, and that caused another lot of problems. Borneo called the WHO again to come and assist with the rat plague and the destruction of their grain stores. And there was no easy answer for that, not a simple one. And the next thing that happened was that they parachuted 14,000 live cats into Borneo to eradicate the rats. And that was called Operation Cat Drop. Now, why do I tell this story? Well, I think there's a couple of reasons that I can think of. Firstly, if you don't understand the interrelatedness of things, obvious solutions often cause more problems than actual solutions. Simple questions often require complex and reflective thinking if good solutions are to be found. It is always better to manage by design than by default. And that's also true of our industry. If we look at the crop protection industry, we need to have a life cycle approach to product management. And the life cycle approach starts with the R&D of new molecules to design new products. After it's being commercialized, then it's being manufactured. Then it needs to be stored and transported to distribution. As part of integrated pest management programs, it's used at farm level. It should be used responsibly. Then another question comes with container management, and lastly, the management and disposal of obsolete stocks. Now, the crop advisor plays the role in the following aspects. From storage and transportation, integrated pest management, responsible use, container management, and disposal of obsolete stock. So we can see that the crop advisor actually plays a very significant role in the whole life cycle of a product. Now, if you look at stewardship, we can define it as such for our industry. It is a life cycle approach to crop protection product management to ensure safe production, transportation, storage, handling, application and use of the product, as well as proper disposal of the waste. It's obviously very comprehensive, and we as a distribution side of the industry need to take note of what our real responsibilities are. To be a responsible crop advisor, there are obviously a number of requirements. Firstly, you need to provide the best solution advice to a farmer or stakeholder, and you have to do it in a responsible and sustainable manner based on good agriculture practices. To achieve this, the following aspects are really important. You have to take into consideration the specific crop. Then the pests, that's the insects, diseases, weeds that can cause damage. The different solutions that are available, including your IPM approach. The different products and how to position them in a technical manner that's suitable for the circumstances. You also need to take an integrated view towards crop production, meaning taking into account what seed or cultivar is used, what's the plant nutrition that was applied, and also the interaction of the crop protection with the former two aspects. The history of the previous year's results, the products used in the specific orchard or field also needs to be taken into account. And then lastly, but very important, is market access, specifically to do with food safety and consumer preferences. We can see that if you have to take into account all these aspects, that the marketing and sale of crop protection products is much more complex than meets the eye. Now, to do this effectively, there are a number of aspects that are really important. The following aspects are important when you want to comply with the above. First of all, good quality training to stay up to date with all the mentioned technical aspects. And that includes training from the distributor, suppliers, external institutes, and research-based institutions. Assessment and evaluation of crop advisors play an important role in part of the training, as part of the training. Programs and initiatives like the Continuous Professional Development Program of Crop Life is also crucial in ensuring that individuals meet at least the minimum criteria. Trials and data remain very important, and that's the only real way to obtain insights in how products work under which circumstances. Nowadays, technologies start to play a much bigger role than previously to assist in effective decision making. The crop advisor should also have a long-term approach towards sustainability, taking into account for years to come. He or she should be solution-driven and not product-driven, meaning that the whole package, the holistic approach, should be taken into account when recommending certain products. It should be backed up by good quality technical support and also follow-up after the recommendation and the application to ensure that it's actually working the way it was meant to work. In an industry like ours, there are obviously laws and regulations that need to be adhered to. The first one relates to recommendations in accordance with Act 36 of 1947, which clearly states that the label is a legal binding document. We should refrain from participating in any off-label recommendations, whether it's verbally, written, or even just suggesting off-label use of products. The next aspect is also very important, where recommendations should be in writing, and the crop advisor, as being a professional, taking responsibility for these recommendations, obviously within reason. Transportation of dangerous goods is also becoming more onerous. We as an industry travel literally millions of kilometers every year with chemicals on our vehicles, from suppliers to distributors, distributors to crop advisors, and then the last leg from the crop advisor to the farmer. And that's where the biggest challenge remains, is between the crop advisor and the farmer. Because the legislation is complex, it's onerous, but we should still adhere to it. There are many legal aspects associated with transportation, and we should ensure that proper training is given and received for all people handling and transporting these type of products. Storage has also come under the spotlight over the last 12 months with an unfortunate incident happening in our industry. We should ensure that we comply with all the legal and health and safety aspects that are applicable to the storage of dangerous goods. There are many documents that clearly state the depot standards that we need to adhere to, and we should comply with that and ensure that all our workers know what the standards are and also comply with these standards. And then lastly, but not least, the insurance. Because life happens, and we need to ensure that we are properly insured in a case of such an unfortunate incident, because it can have very significant financial implications as well. On farm level, responsible use is crucial. Training, again, is an important aspect, both for our own staff, being a crop advisor with the staff at the depot level, but also staff on farm level handling these type of products. There are a number of safe handling courses that are available, and we should ensure that all staff members handling these products understand the labels, or at least the basic of the label. Monitoring of spray actions are important to ensure that the spraying and the application is done in a proper way, and also that the product is applied in an efficient way, that efficacy is obtained. I know many of our crop advisors are involved in calibration of spray equipment, which is necessary to ensure that the right amount of product reaches the target in the right way. There are nowadays technology also to assist in this, like DropSight, which has been introduced to the market over the last couple of months, which can assist on farm level to determine the efficacy of spray deposition. And then lastly, there are independent consultants that can assist with spray audits and evaluating of spray equipment. All these things are very important to ensure that the right amount of products are used and that there's no waste or unnecessary use of crop protection chemicals on farm level. The last two items are sticky items, and I know, because if you talk about empty container management, many people shy away. But we need to be more responsible. We need to be cognizant of the impact of the environment. So receiving back of empty containers that are triple rinse remains a very important responsibility from the crop advisors. And we as an industry should improve the number of outlets where we can collect these empty containers and send them away for recycling. Obsolete stock management is also becoming more and more of an issue, not just on farm level, but even on depot levels. And we need to make sure that the inventories are properly managed. There are proper inventory management systems like first in, first out, that we monitor the dates which stock expire, and also on farm level, and that we take into account what products are on farm level available when we do certain recommendations, that the products on farm level is utilized and not being left alone until it expires. Training again plays an important role in the handling of the stock, and then obviously programs to manage the stock and to dispose of it in a responsible manner is crucial for all of us. I know there are still some practices in certain areas which is not responsible, and we should assist as an industry to be responsible also with the management of these items. To conclude, stewardship is everybody's responsibility. We can't just look at multinationals or suppliers or distributors, but we as crop advisors have an important role to play throughout the life cycle of a product. We must always remember what the nature is of the products we use. And it's easy to forget because we get used to our industry, but we should be cognizant of these products that are really potentially detrimental if used incorrectly or disposed in an irresponsible manner. Make sure that all aspects are in place to ensure that you can do your job in a professional, sustainable, and responsible manner, from training to infrastructure right through the chain. But then certainly one of the most important things is attitude. If we have an attitude to improve our industry, to improve the professionalism of our industry, then we're going to move forward much faster. On the flip side, if we have an attitude to try to cut corners and to shy away from responsibilities, it's going to have the opposite effect. So we need to have an attitude to really improve the industry and also the sustainability. Let's avoid another Operation Cat Drop, because that can happen if we don't take into account what the knock-on effects of certain actions can be. We as an industry, we as crop advisors have a critical role to play. So I challenge you, ask yourself, are you a responsible crop advisor? Thank you very much.